One fine day in spring, Peter was mowing LaDix's lawn. Peter suddenly accidentally looked at the sun, and in his daze he knocked down a lawn ornament. Seeing this, LaDix flew into a rage and launched out of his deck chair.
You have shamed my family with your insolence! Prepare to die!
LaDix did 3 backflips forward and pulled the knife out of his ass crack, ready to attack. Peter countered with a Dutch nipple blast and spin-kicked himself away from danger.
I've been trained in the Mexican arts, my naive employer,
said Peter, sharpening his elbow.
Infinite Taco Works!
He screamed, sending millions of tacos in LaDix's directions like projectiles. LaDix tapped into his Kirby powers and sucked them all in.
Now that's a spicy meatball,
he said in a crude Italian accent. Just then, the food disagreed with them and resulted in a torrent of vomit spewing forth from LaDix. Like a Pokemon using Hydro Pump, Peter was washed down the street by the torrential force. LaDix jumped up into the air and used butt thunder, slamming his ass cheeks together and aiming the shockwave towards Peter. Peter predicted this and directed a pelvic thrust in the direction of the waves. The forces were equal, rippling throughout the neighborhood and making old people shit their pants.
You jammiest of dodgers, I'm coming for you!
Shouted Peter, charging back up the street with the acceleration of his Mexican bean fart powers.
You fool! Take this!
LaDix yelled, getting into position.
Super Flame Wheel Barrier Technique!
Translator's note. Barrier means barrier. Peter reacted by instinct and ducked, seeing a flaming fireball sail past his head.
That tricky bastard! Goo!
Peter pulled out his handy-dandy combat strategy and got a glint in his eyes. He took a shadow defensive stance and used a cocked doppelganger like his mother taught him. LaDix was having none of it, rebounding with an ice wheel attack. Translator's note. Ice means ice. And shattering the cock close.
Haha! Peter el Fuego Gato Puto! Now go forever!
LaDix proclaimed, beating his hairy chest with his fists. He came at Peter with the 700 Blame Storm technique, but Peter blocked it with his balls, which was a surprise to everyone involved.
Well, buy me a trace and give me a lemonade, you're one tough fucker!
LaDix sighed, regretting not keeping an eye on his beaner baby. Peter headbutted LaDix's right nipple into a crippled sandwich, which blew up. LaDix used Shadow Fade and got behind him, but Peter shit out vagina fire and LaDix was burned.
I will win for the good of my lawn!
LaDix shouted, moonwalking in place. He made orange juice and splashed it on Peter's new tie, but he had a second one ready.
Bastard, I'll never forgive you!
Peter used spinning double-edge blaster, but LaDix countered with Shadow Step behind. They clashed fists and feet of the dick for 20 minutes, semen and blood flying everywhere as the neighborhood watched in awe, fainted, and/or pleasured themselves. After a while, they stood panting in the middle of the ruined and dirty street, ready to die for their honor.
You fight like a dairy farmer,
Peter wheezed.
How appropriate! You fight like a cow!
Came the response. Suddenly, Peter thrust his hand downward and tore his balls clean off in one fell swoop.
Before I bleed to death, I'm taking you down with me, you ass master!
He cried, throwing them down like grenades.
Oh no you don't, King Dick Gobbler!
LaDix growled, using his dimension leg to kick the balls into space.
Shit,
said Peter, starting to get woozy like a hooker at 2 a.m. He tore off his Mexican shade cloak and wrapped his wound to stop the bleeding.
That ugly clothing just got even more disgusting now that I touched your dick!
LaDix taunted, sparkling in a manly way. LaDix removed his exploding shoe and threw it at Peter, who was still too weak to dodge the mighty projectile. The force blew his left leg clean off, luckily burning the area of the wound so it didn't bleed like a gangbanger on her period.
Time to finish this,
said LaDix, leaping into the air and preparing the ass slam of doom. Using an anal breathing technique, LaDix sucked in lots of air through his ass and inflated it to the size of a car. Peter was about to give up, then remembered his own butt powers, farting himself to safety by launching into the nearby woods. LaDix wasn't concerned though and came crashing down to Earth regardless, causing the world's second largest buttquake. Author note: first place is still held by your mom. The shocks caused many trees to fall down, leaving Peter exposed in the middle of trying to take a dump. Not missing a beat, Peter picked up the shit and used his freeze power on them, turning them into blades. He launched them into LaDix's huge ass, causing great discomfort yet cool relief.
You're rotten crispy jangle. I'll gafoggle your brain box.
LaDix grunted, shrinking down to normal size.
Let's see how you like my ultimate technique.
LaDix took a karate pose and started thrusting his palms in rapid succession. Confused, Peter gave him a concerned look.
It's nothing special. Just my hail cannon.
LaDix boomed, just as the air vacuum struck Peter's nostril and he felt the bitch slap of righteous fury all over his face muscle. The blows rained down like golden showers in a brothel, and Peter's face looked like the tacos he liked to eat. Peter wasn't done yet, though.
King Cobra attack!
He yelled, spitting hot sauce into LaDix's eyes and barrel rolling away. Suddenly, the police arrived. They were wearing banana suits as usual. "What the hell's going on here, you fruity gum wastelords?" one of them demanded.
We're fighting for our honor, you clunge grafter,
said Peter.
Yeah, so buzz up, Oink Brigade.
LaDix concurred. "What the fuck you just say about me, you fucking criminal?" spat the officer. "I'll have you now. I graduated top of my class in the police academy and I have over 300 confirmed convictions." Before the Oink Man could finish, Peter had already started humping his face with his steel rod of smiting, which he glued in place of where his balls were. LaDix took this chance to launch more butt thunder, sending the police cars flying into the nearby houses, most certainly killing most of the families eating dinner. Feeling thoroughly violated, the policeman fainted like a Pokemon hitting zero. Peter gained 500 experience points and leveled up, causing him to evolve. His injuries healed and he grew 50 times over, ripping his clothes in the process.
I am your Mexican god now! Arriba, motherfuckers!
He shouted, picking up some houses to use as his personal shoes.
Building kick!
Peter swung his leg forward, smashing a full house into LaDix. He went flying for several blocks, eventually landing in the middle of the city lake. Every bone gnawed up like an alcoholic redneck's teeth. He could do nothing but start sinking to the bottom. As he contemplated giving up, he suddenly remembered what his mentor, Luffy the Great, had told him. He told him to believe in the heart of the beard, for the beard was the true power and the true glory, and the true breast jiggle of truth. It all made sense now, and LaDix glowed with the power of beardiness. Launching out of the water, he spun himself like a human shuriken in the direction of Peter, landing straight in his eyeball.
"Ah, you Piccadilly penis pincher!"
Peter cried, swishing at his face. LaDix jumped away and used the hand cannon on the other eye, effectively blinding the raging Mexican terror. For the final blow, LaDix decided to unveil his secret move. He ripped away his shirt, revealing erect chest hair all over his front.
Unlimited needleworks of manly!
LaDix shouted, launching all of his air like a porcupine, poking holes in Peter like a Swiss cheese full of needles. Translator's note: needle means needle. Peter flailed like a Magikarp in a lobster pot, spraying blood all over the street and breathing heavily like a pedophile at recess.
Curse you, la 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 la!
An old lady came out of her home to see what all the fuss was about, and looked up to see Peter falling towards her.
"Oh my goodness, I think I pooped my pants a second time,"
she said calmly, adjusting her Gendo glasses. LaDix jumped in between them and thrust one more mighty hand cannon into Peter's back, almost snapping his wrists in the process. Peter was cast aside, smashing through many more family homes. Peter shrunk in size again, like his whole body was limp dick. LaDix stood over him and slowly said,
Yo, Peter, you alright?
Groggy like an alcoholic boxer, Peter sat up and groaned.
I think so.
Good.
LaDix said.
I hope you learned something about beards today.
As he said this, the beard glistened in the sunlight and a chorus of angels could be heard in the background.
Yes.
Peter began, now sure of LaDix's location based on his voice.
I learned that they can give you great power.
Pulling out his emergency Mexican garden shears, Peter suddenly lunged at LaDix's face, slicing his beard clean off.
And now I've taken it away!
He cackled, pelvic thrusting into LaDix and knocking him back.
The beard will grow back.
LaDix calmly announced, standing boldly with a naked chin.
But you can't become un-Mexican.
Peter looked like he was going to explode with rage, like diarrhea on taco night. Then suddenly, he actually blew up.
Ah!
Coated in blood and guts, LaDix stood there for a moment in stunned silence, like he walked in on some old people having nasty sex.
Well, guess that's that. I'll go home and jerk off.
And with that, our hero went home, and didn't face any legal action for all of the disturbance and death, such is fiction. Now get out of my house, you filthy casual, before I 1v1 you in Club Penguin.